Hi, Britt Davenport here, and welcome to another episode of On the Vice. Today we will be tying a Carey Special variation that uses Peacock and some UV straggle string for the body. I'm going to be tying that on a Daiichi 1720 in size 6. We'll get our hook in the vise. Remember, you want your hook shank, if you're on a nor-vise, coming straight off those jaws. That'll put it in the center axis. I'm going to be using some lead wire on this, so I'll get it started just in the eye of the hook, open up that tension nut, and we'll just spin that on. For thread, I'm using Semperfli Classic Waxed A-Dot in red. The reason I'm using red is I weighted the fly. That way it's easy for me to know when I look in my box it's got a red head. That must mean that it's weighted. I'm going to start by just creating a thread dam to the rear and front of that wire. And what that does is it just keeps it from sliding back and forth on that hook shank. I'm going to take my thread to the rear of the hook, about where that barb would be, which I've already crimped down. For the tail, we're just using peacock breast fibers. So just pinch a few of those off. Try to keep the fibers even, the tips, but if not, it's not a big deal. Just going to go ahead and tie those in. I like to take one wrap underneath. It just helps kind of cock them up a little bit. But you don't have to. And look at there. I wasn't paying enough attention and I trimmed away some of my tail fibers. So we'll just add a few more and call it good. See? Always fix stuff. There we go. Voila, back to where we were. Now for the body, I'm going to be using some black straggle string. And what that does is it'll add some UV to the body. And then we'll also be using just strung peacock herl. So I'll start by tying in that piece of straggle string right at the rear there. If you have a hair clip, you can use that to hold it out of the way. Next, I'll grab a clump of peacock herl, 8 to 10 pieces. It doesn't have to be exact. Break those tips off at the end. Those are the more fragile pieces. And we're just going to go ahead and tie those in right on top of that straggle string. Tidy up those butts. And then we're going to put a half hitch in right where we tied those in at. What we'll do now is we'll take our thread over to our bobbin holder thread post. And we'll take that peacock herl and that straggle string together, pull them over, loosen the tension nut, and we're going to spin those onto that thread. And so by doing that, we've created a peacock herl rope. And so from there, we'll just take that, wrap it up the body, and then just tie it off as you would a dubbing loop. And just trim away that excess. So for the collar, we're again using just some blue peacock breast feathers. I'm gonna grab the tip of that, pull everything else back. Just make a nice little tie-in point. So this variation I call the beer can blue. And how it got its name is we fish a lake up on the Colville Indian Reservation every spring. And that was the first time I tried this variation out. We had massive success with it. And the beach we were fishing is called Beer Can Beach. So I was trying to think of a name for the variation, and Beer Can Blue just seemed to work. So it is now called the Beer Can Blue. I'm just going to draw those fibers back to the rear. I'm just going to take a wrap and a half, 2 wraps. I probably tend to over hackle mine just because I really like peacock breast feathers. And I haven't had a fish complain yet. So tie that off, and instead of trimming that stem out, I'm actually going to take my thumbnail, kind of push it back and flatten it down. And then we're just going to wrap back over that. The rachis on those is pretty brittle, so that'll just help secure that in. And then you can just trim what's left out. At that point, we can just do a few turn whip finish. Trim your thread. I like to use hardest hole penetrator head cement. It really gets down into those wraps. Go ahead and just do that, or you can use UV or whatever you prefer. But there we have it, the Beer Can Blue variation of a Carey Special. Again, thank you for joining us on another episode of On the Vise, brought to you by Hackles and Herl Fly Fishing. If you find this content valuable, you know the drill. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, click the bell, and most importantly, we love to hear feedback from you. So drop a comment down below, comments, questions, or suggestions for future videos, whatever. We just like to hear from y'all. So with that, we will talk to you later, and have a good evening. Thank you.